Hi all, so today we are going to be making some super fun, super healthy gummy bears. I love food that, lots of times we just want a snack. You just want the mouthfeel and the action of the hand to mouth without all the calories. You don't want to have to feel guilty about it. You don't have to worry about gaining weight. And, it's comfort eating, but foods that are appropriate for this are hard to find. That's why I love things like gummy bears, because if done correctly, they can be a super low-cal, fun snack that you don't have to feel guilty about. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to juice up some fruit and veg. I like to put some veggies in the gummies for those extra nutrients, and also it's less sugar content in the juice. So we're going to be juicing 1 apple, half a lemon, 1/3 of a cucumber, 3 carrots, and 3 pieces of kale. And again, anytime I'm juicing, I'm going organic because I don't want a concentrated level of pesticides in my juice. Pesticides, they do penetrate the skin, and so they are in the entire body of the fruit and vegetable. So just rinsing it or skinning it isn't good enough. It's always better to go organic. So I'm going to juice this, and then we will show you the rest of how to make the gummies. Alright, so I've got my fruit and veggie juice here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide this roughly in half. It does not need to be an exact measurement, but it's really important when you're making gummies to let the gelatin bloom. I use the Great Lakes gelatin. Be sure if you're using Great Lakes to get the kind of reddish orange bottle, not the green container. I did not know this, no one said it, and I tried like 4 times to make these gummies, and they would not set, they would not gel, and I didn't know why. And then I read in an obscure blog somewhere that I finally came across that the green gelatin doesn't gel for Great Lakes, so it has to be this orange bottle. So I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of the gelatin into my cool mixture. You need to let it bloom. If you add the gelatin to a hot mixture, it clumps together and you're not going to get a nice, smooth, even texture. You can, some people add the gelatin in and then heat the mixture the gelatin's in, but the thing is if you go above 165, you're denaturing the gelatin. And I don't really want to be getting all specific with the candy thermometer, so I'm just going to put it in the blender here. It's important to mix it together really well because I don't want any clumps in my gummy bears. And I found that with the gelatins, it's easier than you think, and it's easier than people admit to get clumps in your mixture. So I'm going to mix this really well. And then I'm just going to let this bloom. So basically I'm going to let it set and let it start absorbing the liquid there. With the remaining liquid, because you do need, it's a mixture of hot and cold, really, to make gummies that turn out for the gelatin to gel. So I'm going to take the second half of my liquid, pour it in a saucepan on a burner here, and I'm just going to heat it up to simmering. It doesn't need to be a rolling boil. You don't want it to be a rolling boil, but if you get it up to a nice, good simmer, and then you gradually mix it in with your cool mixture, then what happens is you get the heat you need without overheating the gelatin, and I don't have to go and take a measure of it. You can make these juice gummies without any added sweetener at all. I made them, and they don't have a bad taste. They're very bland. The juice, even though the juice is nice and sweet on its own as a juice, when you start trying to make it into the gummies and the gummies have set, it ends up just not having a lot of flavor. And I want these to be really nice and fun to eat and feel like a treat. So what I did is, you can use either honey or something like monk's fruit. I want the monk's fruit because I'm just trying to keep them as low calorie as possible. The thing with something like monk's fruit, stevia, anything that's mixed with erythritol that you need to be aware of is when they're in a more like a liquid suspension versus a dough. Even if you make a simple syrup out of it, the crystals reform in the refrigerator. So because of that, what I did is I just took about 1/4 of a cup and I put it into my coffee grinder, and I ground it up as a confectioner's sugar, which is extremely fine, so that I don't want my gummy bears to be gritty. And really the exact amount, you're not using the monk's fruit for the to do anything with the texture or the consistency. All you're using it for is to add a little bit of sweetness to your juice. without adding more calories with, you know, fruit sugar or honey. So I'm just going to let this simmer, and as soon as I see the bubbles forming on the top, we're going to combine it with our cool mixture and get it into our molds. Alright, so now that I've got a nice simmer on this pot, I'm just going to remove the mixture from the heat and put it back into my KitchenAid so that I can blend it with my gelatin. I'm just going to turn this on low and slowly pour the hot juice in so that I don't denature and overwhelm the gelatin. Okay, now I'm going to turn on a bit higher to get a really good mix on this. Again, we don't want clumpy, gritty, nasty gummy bears. These need to be enjoyable to eat. Okay, so that should be good. And what we're going to do now is I have my little silicone gummy bear molds. Definitely use the silicone because you don't want something that they're going to stick to that is tricky to come out. You want to keep their cute little shape. And now a lot of people use these, come with a dropper that you can use the dropper to fill the gummies. To me that takes too long, and what happens is my mixture starts to thicken while I'm dropping it, and I don't get the even smooth texture I'm looking for. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly pour the mixture over the silicone molds, and I'm going to use a spatula to encourage the liquid down into the molds so that it's filling the gummy bears instead of just resting on top. When these molds are filled, I'm going to use a cookie sheet so that they don't, to carry them, so that the liquid doesn't come out of the molds and slop everywhere. Put them on a cookie sheet, put them in the fridge, let them sit for about 2 hours, and then put them in the freezer for 15 minutes. The freezing just helps them to be hard enough that you can pop them out of the molds without damaging them. And I will come back and show you the results. Hey all, so it's been a couple hours and the gummy bears are ready to go. Super exciting. So you see they're in the molds like this. And what you want to do when you break them out of the mold is go from the side, don't go from the middle. Because I found if you push from the middle, it tends to split them in half. You go from the side, they pop right out, and it's a cute little gummy bear. It's really nice, mildly sweet. You don't actually taste the vegetables. You just know it's a veggie juice because they're green. If you want a more vibrant green, you can add in some natural food coloring. So I'm just popping them out one by one and put them in the storage container. I do keep them in the fridge unless I want to eat them, because the fridge, they aren't grocery store bought. They're not quite as firm because they don't have all the additives, and they have a nice like a firmer texture basically out of the fridge. They can be out for about an hour at a time if you want to take a baggie of them with you, but overall long-term storage, I keep them in the fridge. So I hope that you found this recipe informative. Check out the full recipe at skinnyminx.com. Let me know if you have any questions or feedback, and have a beautiful day. Thank you.